In a world that constantly demands our attention, silence becomes an invaluable tool for self-control. In a society where we're encouraged to respond quickly, share our opinions, and express ourselves at every turn, silence offers an opportunity to step back, pause, and regain control over our reactions. Often, our first instinct is to react, whether it's a comment, an accusation, or a challenging situation. But responding in haste can lead to regret. Silence gives us the space to avoid acting impulsively, to choose our words wisely, and to assess a situation before we engage with it. When we choose silence, we allow ourselves to filter out the noise around us. Instead of responding to every provocation, we are reminded that we don't need to speak to prove ourselves. Silence becomes a form of protection. It shields us from unnecessary conflict and prevents us from being drawn into situations that might waste our energy or lead to unnecessary confrontation. This is not to say that silence is a passive response. It is, in fact, an active decision. It requires discipline, maturity, and emotional intelligence to hold back when the urge to speak or retaliate is strong. As someone who has had to navigate both the demanding industries of Bollywood and Hollywood, I've faced countless moments where the easy thing would have been to engage, to explain, or to fight back. However, I've come to realize that silence is often the most powerful tool at my disposal. It allows me to control how much of myself I give away to the situation, ensuring that I remain grounded and centered. In the moments when words fail or when speaking might fuel an argument, silence offers a sense of peace and authority. It's in those quiet moments that you can reflect, recalibrate, and decide the best course of action. Silence also creates space for introspection. By holding our tongue, we gain insight into our emotions, motivations, and the true nature of the situation. It becomes a tool for reflection, helping us distinguish between what is worth addressing and what should be left alone. In choosing silence, we exercise the highest form of self-control, mastering our emotions, resisting the impulse to react, and allowing wisdom to guide our response. Silence, often misunderstood as passivity or weakness, is actually a powerful demonstration of inner strength. In a world where we are constantly encouraged to speak up, express our opinions, and defend ourselves, choosing silence in difficult situations requires a deep sense of self-assurance. It takes far more strength to remain calm, composed, and silent when provoked than it does to lash out or engage in conflict. Silence is not a sign of fear or surrender. It is a sign of resilience, confidence, and self-control. When faced with criticism, insult, or judgment, the natural reaction might be to retaliate or defend ourselves. But these reactions often arise from a place of insecurity or the need to prove something. In contrast, silence allows us to rise above the noise and focus on what truly matters. Choosing to remain silent in the face of adversity shows that we are not driven by the need for approval or validation from others. We are grounded in our own self-worth and don't feel the need to engage with negativity. It shows that we value our peace of mind more than the fleeting satisfaction of a heated exchange. This kind of strength is especially important when dealing with toxic situations or people. It's easy to get caught up in the drama, to enter into a back and forth that leads nowhere, but silence allows us to preserve our energy and maintain our dignity. It shows that we are not willing to lower ourselves to the level of those who seek to bring us down. Instead of becoming entangled in conflict, we rise above it, maintaining a sense of control and integrity. Silence also requires the strength to endure discomfort. It's not always easy to hold our tongue, especially when emotions run high or when we feel misunderstood. But the ability to remain silent in those moments demonstrates emotional intelligence and maturity. It takes courage to face uncomfortable situations without reacting impulsively. By practicing silence, we are able to process our emotions, reflect on the situation, and decide the most constructive way forward without being governed by anger or frustration. Ultimately, silence shows that we are not controlled by our impulses or the opinions of others. It is a reflection of inner peace, self-respect, and the ability to stay grounded in any situation. Silence creates the perfect environment for reflection, offering us the space to step back and gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and our circumstances. In a world that never slows down, where distractions are constant and voices are loud, it can be difficult to find moments to just be still. Yet, silence holds the power to help us clear the mental clutter and focus on what truly matters. When we take a step back and choose silence, we allow ourselves to process thoughts, reevaluate situations, and gain clarity. In the midst of a busy life, we often find ourselves making decisions without fully considering the consequences or taking the time to reflect on what's best for us. Silence forces us to pause and slow down. It allows us to disconnect from external pressures and listen to our inner voice. By creating space for introspection, we can assess our emotions, our motivations, and our goals. It's in these quiet moments that we understand what we truly want, why we feel the way we do, and where we want to go in life. Reflection through silence also gives us the opportunity to learn from our past experiences. Without the noise of outside opinions or distractions, we can look back at our choices, mistakes, and successes with a clearer perspective. This reflective process allows us to identify patterns, recognize what worked, and understand where we might have gone wrong. In silence, we gain wisdom, which empowers us to make better decisions moving forward. Moreover, silence fosters creativity and innovation. In a society that prizes constant action and productivity, silence gives our minds the freedom to wander and explore new ideas. Often, the best ideas come when we are not actively trying to force a solution, but simply giving ourselves the quiet time to think deeply and freely. Many creative breakthroughs are born in moments of stillness, where we let our thoughts flow without constraint. In silence, we become more attuned to the present moment. It allows us to truly listen, not only to our own thoughts, but also to the world around us. By embracing silence, we cultivate mindfulness, which leads to a greater sense of peace and understanding. It's in these moments of reflection that we can reconnect with our purpose, ground ourselves in the present, and approach life with a renewed sense of clarity and direction. Silence can be one of the most powerful forms of protest, transcending the need for words or loud demonstrations. In a world that often demands verbal responses or visible reactions, choosing silence in the face of injustice or oppression sends a bold and clear message. It speaks volumes without uttering a single word, conveying resistance, defiance, and an unwavering commitment to a cause. Sometimes, when words fail or seem inadequate to describe the depth of injustice, silence becomes the only answer capable of conveying true dissent. History is full of moments where silence became a form of protest. Think of the silent sit-ins during the civil rights movement in the United States, or the silent marches that stood as a powerful statement against government oppression. These acts of quiet defiance were not signs of submission, but of strength. By withholding words, protesters were able to expose the very system of inequality and oppression they were fighting against. Their silence was not passive, it was a declaration of resistance, a refusal to participate in an unjust system, and a call for the world to listen to the silence that spoke louder than any speech or slogan. In personal interactions, silence can also serve as a powerful tool for protesting harmful behavior or disrespect. When confronted with verbal abuse, manipulation, or injustice, responding with silence can show that you refuse to engage in a harmful dynamic. It serves as a shield, protecting your peace and refusing to lend energy to negativity or conflict. When silence is used in this context, it serves as a reminder that your dignity and integrity are not for sale. It's an unspoken refusal to accept the status quo and an assertion of self-worth that cannot be undermined by harmful words or actions. Silence also has the power to challenge the status quo by forcing others to confront uncomfortable truths. When we choose to remain silent in the face of injustice, It can create a pause in the conversation, making others reflect on what is being ignored or neglected. It compels the audience or the individuals involved to reconsider their assumptions and behaviors. Silence, in this sense, holds the power to disrupt the norm by leaving questions unanswered, encouraging deeper contemplation, and creating a space for change. In this way, silence can be a radical form of protest, non-violent yet incredibly impactful, standing firm in the face of adversity while rejecting the need for conventional responses. It speaks louder than words ever could, challenging systems, individuals, and ideas to rethink their approach to justice and equality. Silence has the incredible ability to build stronger and more meaningful connections, far beyond what words can achieve. In a world where communication is often rushed, where everyone is trying to speak their mind, we tend to overlook the profound impact that simply being present and quiet can have in our relationships. Silence allows us to step away from the need to always have the perfect thing to say, and instead, it fosters deeper emotional bonds by encouraging active listening, understanding, and empathy. When we engage in conversation, we are often more focused on what we are going to say next rather than truly listening to the other person. Silence removes this barrier, creating a space where we can fully absorb and process what is being shared. By being silent and listening attentively, we allow others to express themselves freely without the pressure of immediately responding or interrupting. This level of listening nurtures a sense of trust, as the person speaking feels heard and validated in their emotions and experiences. It's this feeling of being truly understood that lays the foundation for deeper, more genuine connections. In intimate relationships, whether they are with friends, family, or romantic partners, silence allows space for comfort and intimacy to grow. Sometimes words are not needed to convey our feelings. A shared silence can communicate more than any words ever could. For example, sitting in quiet companionship with someone you care about can create a powerful sense of closeness, as both individuals are simply present in the moment together. There is a unique bond that forms when we are able to be silent with someone, sharing space without the need for constant conversation. In these moments, connection transcends verbal exchanges and becomes something more profound, an understanding and appreciation of one another that goes beyond language. Moreover, silence helps us better understand the nonverbal cues that are often just as important as words. Body language, facial expressions, and subtle gestures communicate so much of what is truly felt. By embracing silence, we become more attuned to these cues, allowing us to pick up on what is unsaid and respond with greater emotional intelligence. Silence in these situations opens a dialogue that is not confined to words alone, but to the feelings and nuances that are often lost in the rush to talk. Ultimately, silence creates the space for connection to go beyond surface-level exchanges. It deepens our relationships by fostering trust, understanding, and empathy, allowing us to form bonds that are richer and more meaningful. In a world that can sometimes feel overwhelming with noise and constant communication, silence offers a rare opportunity for real connection, a quiet acknowledgement of one another that speaks louder than words ever could. Silence has a unique power to reveal truths that words often fail to express. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and endless conversation, silence can become the most honest and pure form of communication. When words are inadequate or the situation too complex for simple explanations, silence speaks volumes, offering insight that is often more profound and revealing than anything we might say. In these moments, silence transcends its quiet nature to expose deeper truths about ourselves, others, and the world around us. One of the most profound aspects of silence is its ability to highlight what is often left unsaid. In moments of tension or conflict, when emotions run high, words may be spoken in haste, often misrepresenting or distorting the true feelings or intentions behind them. But in silence there is clarity. The absence of words allows us to reflect on the situation more deeply and connect with the core truth of what is really happening. Whether it's in a heated argument or an uncomfortable situation, silence can often expose the underlying truths that people are afraid to acknowledge or express. It is in these quiet moments that the truth becomes undeniable. Moreover, silence reveals what cannot be hidden. In many cases, actions speak louder than words, and silence gives those actions the space to be seen. When someone refuses to speak or respond, it can often be a more powerful statement than any words they might offer. It reflects an unwillingness to engage in falsehoods or distractions, shining a light on what is truly important. For example, when facing injustice, silence can become a tool of protest, a refusal to accept the status quo, highlighting the need for change. It forces those who witness it to confront the reality of what is being left unsaid and unacknowledged. In personal reflection, silence reveals truths about ourselves. When we stop speaking and take a moment to truly listen to our thoughts and emotions, we often uncover feelings and insights that we might have been too busy or distracted to recognize. It is in these moments of silence that we face the truths of our desires, fears, and aspirations. In this way, silence becomes a mirror, reflecting the truths we may otherwise avoid. Ultimately, silence speaks the truth by creating space for understanding, reflection, and revelation. It doesn't need to shout to be heard. It simply demands the time and attention to let its power unfold. Whether it is in our personal lives or in the world at large, silence has the capacity to expose what is real and true, beyond the surface of what is said or shown. In a world that often values words over everything else, silence offers the rare opportunity for truth to rise unspoken, clear, and undeniable.